Good evening. Welcome to America's Third Party, our anti-war rally. I'm David Sponheim, running for president in 2016, the write-in candidate. Good evening. We have lots of fun stuff tonight to discuss. A nation seemingly in two wars still. Not really sure why we're starting another one in Syria. The American people are asking big questions, but we're never heard. Nobody in America seems to be heard in the mainstream media. The talking point is, oh, we need to send all those rebels, all that funding to help stop Bashar al-Assad. Why would we do that when Russia just maintained 400 populated regions with massive amounts of artillery and military action? Why are we starting a war in Syria, I ask you? Anyone know? The real reason is we are doing the bidding of the IMF and the World Bank, and the most powerful people in the world who own everything. They want Syria. They want to own every central bank in the world, and they're using our country as the military might to pull that off. And the person I'm referring to is this person right here, the richest man in the world, or one of them. Yeah, he's a Rothschild, and there was a time when 88 media companies were out there, but now it's down to 6, and they're all getting their news from this guy. So he's defining the talking points that you hear about in the mainstream media. Those 6 news agencies that they now control. Used to be 88, now it's down to 6. So we've lost our free press. We've lost our ability to question our government. We have no way of stopping this. And when you talk about ISIS, are you sure you're not talking about the Israeli secret intelligence service? And many people don't know that ISIS is the word that people use to describe the Mossad. It's the word they refer to themselves. So you got to wonder, how did this ISIS thing become such a big, huge word over the past 2 years? Well, that's because people like Rothschild want us to be fearful of terrorists. And since they don't use Al-Qaeda anymore, they got rid of that word when they took out, or if allegedly took out, Osama bin Laden May 1st, 2011. If you believe that, they still don't have a photo of his dead body. No DNA evidence confirming it was him, but oh yeah, sure. So now they have to come up with a new reason to name and blame the terrorists and then push America into yet another war with Syria. It's all about trying to prime your pump of fear. So you're so frightened of the terror over there that you have to send young men off to die. I gave you a simple answer. Who funds ISIS? I don't know. I can tell you that there's training camps for ISIS that are led by the CIA in Jordan. I can tell you that the commission to get all those Toyota pickups that they showed that ISIS had recently in a photograph about a year ago, that was the State Department who requested those Toyota pickups. Toyota was asked, how did you get a big order in the Middle East? Who gave it to you? And they said, well, the only big order we've had is the State Department. I think you know which State Department. Nope, I am not in any way involved in any of that erotic photography, if that's what you're asking me. Yeah, some of you really have some serious obsessions. Have you ever thought of getting treatment for your addiction to masturbation? Okay, so there's a reason to write me in and force a recount. A lot of reasons. And if you can't see it, click the commercial under the thing here. We want to stop the New World Order. We want to stop GMOs, endless use of GMOs and the dangers of chemicals and tumor-producing chemicals. We want to stop chemtrails, and I'm the only presidential candidate running against chemtrails. And we want to pull the fluoride from our water, because we get it in our toothpaste. What do we want it in our water for? It dumbs people down. And I will not in any way authorize forced vaccinations or RFID chipping. So what presidential candidate offers all of this in one package? And I want to end war, and I want to legalize marijuana. I mean, it's like every day is your party day, your birthday, when you get me as a president. Believe me, Mark is a small blip in the universe. As soon as I get the power of the presidency, I will be able to choose another network to do this at whitehouse.gov. Now, there's only one difference between these two notes. And it is the belief that one of them has more value than the other. We're living in a nation where the debt notes that we've acquired, and these are dollar bills to you, are almost becoming meaningless and worthless. And it's because these rich people keep printing up money and giving it to each other every time they want more. Whereas you work hard for your money, they don't work hard for their money. They get their money to make money on their money. You work hard for your money. They don't work hard at all. They make the money on your money. Okay, you should take I should take down your birth certificate. Why would I take down? Yeah. I don't do a clown show, and I've never done this because the Illuminati promised me anything. I'm really the only American who's trying to do this from my home studio. There's not another one out there that has the potential that I have, and have done an unbelievable job. 7 years doing this. I don't have a wig. This is not a clown show. Well, I'm the only interactive presidential candidate who's given you 7,000 plus hours. I've given you total transparency and interact with your chat every night. The New World Order is a thing it's basically the monarchy of the past. They rebranded it as a New World Order, and people like George H.W. Bush talked about a New World Order, and now you're smelling it. A New World Order. I'm not mentally ill. No, gosh, no. You know, I've had such a wonderful life, and I'm so adjusted that it's when people are suffering emotionally and are suicidal or want to hurt people, that's when you call them mentally ill. Not when they're trying to be a presidential candidate offering brand new ideas that you cannot refute. Calling people names is not an answer to a question. I would not doubt that at all. Ted Cruz seems like an odd character. Well, maybe you have a drug on your mind. I don't take drugs. I have never had drugs. I have had an aspirin, if you call that a drug. Joan Rivers, well, you know, she and I do have something in common. We're both human. She, however, is dead. Yeah, well, Joan Rivers did a lot of good work. You got to admire what she's done. And the last thing she said publicly, well, maybe not the very last thing, but one of the last things she said publicly was that Michelle Obama is a tranny. And I thought that was incredibly brave of her. And I turned to Sarah. I said to Sarah that night when we first saw it, I said to her, Sarah, this is amazing. She'll probably live about a month and a half. They'll probably take her out. I mean, she just told the whole country that Michelle Obama is a tranny. I was shocked. Hey, have you ever seen this video?
You want to roll with me to the game, Roy? Hey, hanging out with Roy.
Two white guys.
He wants to go out to my game tomorrow. It's got to be fun. Oh, wow. You going to film it? Are you going to film it? Yes, sir. Yeah. Woo!
Okay, this is Snoop Doggy Dogg wearing whiteface. Yeah. And you're saying, wow, well, you know, how come he gets to do it? And you don't get to wear blackface? Woo! Woo! Yeah! Woo! You know, I just find that kind of a hypocritical, don't you? I never called Snoop Doggy Dogg a racist for doing whiteface. I just think many people have to realign your thinking. I have every right to impersonate Barack Obama, and I did so in 2008 with my Broken St. Obama's video. Yeah. And it surprises me so many Democrats don't realize that this country is predicated on free speech. And here we are. A bunch of rich Democrats who suck up to corporate America, started out the race, and now there's down to one. It's all a paid, controlled race in the Democratic Party. They had a combined net worth of $86 million, and they're up there telling you that they're lecturing America on income inequality. I mean, you're talking about the most hypocritical party in American history. And they called me out as a racist when I've never said a racial slur in my life, only because I did an impersonation video of the worst president we've ever had, Barack Obama. I am not kidding. I'm not rich, no. No, there's a lot of people living humble lives here on this beautiful island. Yeah, I don't plan on having a lot of money in my life. My goal was never to become rich. When I was born, I looked up in the future and I said, these are the things I need to do. How am I going to do it? So I worked really hard in school and got #1 status throughout my entire high school years. Graduated #1 as valedictorian in my high school class. Proceeded thinking I was going to go on to maybe a good Ivy League school. Applied to Harvard, Yale, Stanford, Princeton. And I got rejected from all of them. And then I realized that the political science department at the school that I did go to, UCLA, was Marxist. And everywhere I turned, I couldn't make my dream a reality of wanting to become an expert in law, one of the things I wanted to do. I couldn't make that a reality. I couldn't afford to go to college. I was literally a victim of affirmative action. Doing blackface is not racist at all, no. Many people around the country have done blackface. Calling me out on that is absurd. You know, it's, in fact, the blackface minstrels of the past part of our American history. You're denying that, which is really odd that you would deny that. Here's a very famous model that's getting some heat for just doing this. Yeah, she's getting some reaction. Yeah, get in there. Go into the live stream right now, White House Correspondents' Dinner, and start interacting about America's Third Party, folks. You can get in there right now.
Here we give out.
So there's no reason to react to blackface or whiteface. The point is, if you don't understand freedom of speech is protected in this country, then get the hell out of the dialogue. You want to let this country being run by this type of rich global elitist, where they condense 88 media companies down to 6, and you think that's okay? Then get out of the political dialogue that I'm issuing forth tonight. We don't want you here. My finger looks weird. It's a green screen behind it. I banned you at least 24 times, and here you are. Isn't it amazing? Yeah. Doing blackface is desperate. I'll give you that. I had no other way to get any type of media coverage, and boy has it worked in spades. I have literally reached out across the globe to countless countries now. I've got viewership from around the world. I want to welcome all our viewers from Japan and South Korea and Australia and New Zealand. You guys are great. You're helping to cross-promote something that is clearly being censored in America. My cup is free. I got it at the Red Robin restaurant in 1995. Well, tonight's an anti-war rally where we talk about all the dead people that war has caused. And as representatives of dead people, we're going to bring them back from the grave, and they're going to talk to you openly and publicly. We're going to ask famous dead people why they went off to fight a war that now children don't even realize what freedom is. They call a guy a racist for doing blackface. We're going to ask people who died in the war why they gave up their life to protect a bunch of snivelly-nosed moochers that live off their parents and eat tortilla chips and play video games every day. We're going to kind of get to the bottom as to how many people have died saving you and your lame ass to protect your freedoms, and you don't even know what they are. Let's start with the 58,000 men who died in the Vietnamese War. You're from Japan? Excellent. 58,000 men could have been grandpas to you guys. Could have been a lot more of you guys, too, had we not seen them go off and die for not Because basically that war didn't need to be fought. And there's not one single political official in America who's actually said those words. I'm the only one. We never come to a reckoning as to why we went off and fought the Vietnam War. Nobody ever talked about it. Bobby Kennedy got close. And then they blew his head off. Yeah, close range. Bobby Kennedy was right there at that point where he was going to come to terms with what Vietnam had happened and had done. He won the nomination, the Democratic leader, presidential candidate, and he died. He was shot in the kitchen right after making one of the best speeches he ever made. Yeah, so they kill anybody to talk about the truth, apparently. But hopefully we waited this out long enough to try to get the truth flushed to the surface and we can talk about it. Basically, the Vietnamese War, Vietnam War was essentially fought over heroin. The Afghan war that we're still fighting is being fought simply to protect the opium growers. And the ISIS fear of ISIS threat is probably being partly promoted by our government's secret intelligence services like the CIA. So the whole thing is a complete scam. And in the very end, it protects the bankers who bank and run the money, all the dirty money that goes into the hands of people like the CIA. They make, I've heard estimates of $50 billion a year on the sale of heroin because we are there protecting the heroin growers. I'm not kidding. Yeah, I mean, actually, here, I can give you statistics if you want. I'll throw some things out for you to look at, and you can decide from there. But this is something that's never talked about in politics in America right now. And it's terrible. We are literally protecting the growers of heroin in Afghanistan. You know, I wouldn't doubt Christmas time is going to have Santa out there, captured by ISIS, and they're going to talk about how he's being held captive. And he's going to make everyone think that we have to go save Santa. Not featuring me is irrelevant to me. I want you to understand the Vaughn Network is almost, at this point, a non-issue. All they do now is grab one of our feeds from either Vaughn or Battle Cam, and we instantly get seen around the world. It's that simple. So don't even worry about the feature issue at Vaughn. Thank you. And I'm not in competition to be featured on that network. I'm not Jewish, no. Many of you don't understand that my name is from Germany originally, and it was from the town of Sponheim in the Rhineland of Germany that still exists. There's about 800 or 900 people living there to this day. Thank you. 5,000 in Sweden? Oh, good. Well, there was a person by the name of Lars Sponheim who ran in the Norwegian election a few years back as Minister of the Interior. He's not a blood relative, but he grew up on the farm that my family settled in Norway. When they moved from Germany in 1100 AD, they moved to Norway, and then they started a beautiful winery. And there's a winery in Norway. I've never seen it. I've never been to visit those relatives, but his family, Lars's family, grew up on the winery, and they acquired the name. But they're not a blood relative. I'm a blood relative to the people from Sponheim Castle. It doesn't matter, sir. I don't care about feature. I've got hundreds of thousands of viewers around the world. Being featured on a minuscule network is irrelevant to me. It's just so funny. Even if I didn't have hundreds of thousands of viewers around the world, I would still look at this network as a tragedy. And believe me, it's not forgotten what's happening. As time goes on and people realize the importance of a third party, I will have to use every bit of my self-control to not look back on this time and say, wow, that network really has a problem. I'll have so many things to do just fixing the country, and I won't be able to look back and say, wow, look at that network. Millions are watching in Uzbekistan. Excellent. Thank you. Well, let's get started. We are essentially all about stopping war, and as you know from around the world, our country has been ripe with war ever since this happened. when your people came to our land, it was not with open arms, but with Bibles and guns and disease. You took our land. You killed us with your guns and disease, and then had the arrogance to call us godless savages. So, my stock, I actually related to one of the Native American women in the Algonquin tribe. I have a small amount of Native American in me. And I can talk about the plight of the Native Americans, but I don't really look back on that time period where Western man came in and took over the Native American land. I don't see it as solely white versus the Native Americans. I really believe that even Native Americans were killing each other off too. So there's a lot of animosity in the human species itself. It doesn't matter whether you're white, black, Native American. It's been going on for centuries. So we really can't turn this into a racial conflict. It's really a human conflict. And more importantly, we have a bigger conflict ahead. The environment. We have to save the environment. We need to team together with other countries, at the very least, to deal with this, but not with cap and trade legislation like the Democrats are proposing. With innovation, where we solve problems with green, clean technology, and they like what they see and they buy it or they replicate it, and we don't sue them. If we made a seawater pipeline, for instance, that would go across the country, or maybe up and down the coastline of California, or on the East Coast, it wouldn't matter. Anywhere there's ocean water and sunlight. An ocean pipeline project anywhere in the world would create fresh water. And fresh water creates food. And food creates a sense of prosperity. And prosperity, I guarantee you, when every nation is prosperous, you have peace. So it's a simple formula that I have constructed here, and that's this. Water equals food equals prosperity equals peace. Now, if we can put this together and make it happen across the globe and help other people replicate these seawater pipelines in other countries, especially in areas like the Gaza Strip, where they need an economy for a state of Palestine to emerge, I want everyone to know that this is an ongoing battle to provide more and more. And I've been talking about how the world has a fresh water problem. If you're led to believe we have a population problem, you've been listening to the likes of these people. The Rothschilds, the global elitists who want us to all to believe that we're overpopulated. When in fact, I did the math, and if you look at the amount of land on the earth, even if we had 10 billion people populating the earth, every one of us would have at least 12 acres of property. I'm going to go ahead and remove any negative things, demoralizing things from the show. I want you to know that that's a pre-ban offense. All right. If you keep it up, you'll be banned. I'm not reading selectively. I read at 6,000 words a minute and construct a conversation about the issues of the day. So I don't know any human being who could pull that off. Iraqi green zone has fallen. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah, there's an ice cream store there that the Shiites developed. And, they haven't been able to hold it together since the U.S. backed out of the green zone. Well, now, with Obama funding ISIL and trying to break down the very government we installed in Iraq, the green zone is now falling. Look at this. I guess free ice cream wasn't enough. Iran was selling ice cream at an ice cream store there.
Fury at the heart of Iraqi government as protesters angry over stalled political reforms stormed the nation's parliament.
Our legitimate and only demand is to dismiss the government and replace it with an independent cabinet of technocrats. We say no to the government and its quotas.
Key government positions have long been handed out through sectarian and political quotas. It's an unpopular system Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi had promised to end after months of protest against political corruption by supporters of Shiite cleric Muqtada al-Sadr. Al-Abadi, however, has seen his efforts opposed by political players keen to retain their influence.
Okay, al-Abadi is facing a lot of challenges, but worse than that, when Obama is funding ISIL forces of factions of Sunnis, going after his government is just part of the problem. We have literally been supporting both sides of the political spectrum as a government in all these countries. We literally fund and finance both sides of these conflicts, which is really at the root of our problem. You wonder why we have war? War is good money. They profit from making war. If you need more than 12 acres, you got a serious problem, Jacket Pockets. Yeah. You wouldn't even know what to do with 12 acres. I'm sorry to say, but not many of you would even properly use 1 acre. It's just a reality. The U.S. gains a lot by funding ISIS. They actually create an illusion that there's terrorism out there and that we need to fund more military buildup. And that means, what do you think we produce in America? Military weapons. One of our biggest exports is military weapons.